Hello Internet. Hi everyone. My name is Chris Roma. I have another YouTube channel called Roma Aquatics, which is why you see all the fish tanks in the background, but that has nothing to do with this channel. I recently picked up a new hobby called Cardistry, hence the name Cardistry Practice for the channel. And I noticed while looking up stuff and looking at the tutorials, there's a lot of videos out there on the decks and how to do the tricks and magic tricks and the flourishes and all that awesome stuff, which is what I'm trying to learn. But there's not too many videos who show their progress learning through the tricks and showing this is what it looks like after a day, this is what it looks like after an hour, this is what it looks like after a week. It's generally lots of very, very good teachers out there. If you will, there's lots of good teachers, but there's not many classmates or peer videos out there. So I've been watching videos from the normal that you've probably seen a million of, like 52 Cards, Chris Ramsey, some other people, but I've been just trying to learn, a simple one-hand cut, what I think it's called the Charlier. Seems French. I think that's how you say it, Charlier. Could be Charlier if it's not French, but I've been practicing that cut and working with that and just seeing what I can do with that. And I've been working with it about a week, so I figured I'd do a little vlog and show what that looks like after a week and show what I've been working with, just so if people are having a hard time, and if yours looks better than mine at this point, don't give up, don't ever give up, you're doing good. But I just wanted to kind of take the point of view of a peer or classmate where I'm here learning with you, not being your teacher. And that's kind of the point of this channel. But anyways, let's get on to where I'm at with the Charlier cut. So I am using the Bicycle Tragic Royalty playing cards. I just did a video on this deck where I show each card if you want to check it out. Quick look. They're pretty cool cards. I like them, but the best part is they're cheap. I got 2 decks for under 10 bucks, so you can't beat that. They glow in the black light if you're into that kind of thing. But here, let's get right into it. After 1 week, there it is. That's what it looks like after a week of practice. And believe me, after day 1, I was like, oh, maybe, okay, there it is. And dropping cards everywhere, doesn't look the best yet. Takes me a little while to get that thumb cut still. But I could do it without having to square the deck with my other hand every time. I can kind of get it over and over again. And just kind of practice it and make it keep looking better. So I'm happy with that. If yours doesn't look that good after a week, keep trying. It's really not that tough of a trick. I feel like I had it pretty good after, a day or two. So maybe after a week, if you still don't have it, you may want to look at your technique, at what you're doing. I'm not here to give tutorials. I'm here to be your classmate. But as your classmate, I'm here to talk to you about what helped me learn this trick. And again, there's tons of teachers out there, so if you want to go watch a tutorial that really gives you enough in-depth how to do this, I suggest going to do that, so you know what I'm talking about while I'm trying to tell you what helped me. Oh, look at that, can't even hold the deck without dropping cards. But the first thing that helped me is you can basically, this is the normal dealer grip or mechanic's grip that you start, where you cut the cards and you pull it up. I noticed that if you start with the deck elevated, it's much easier. So instead of starting at your normal dealer grip, start in an elevated grip. And then when you cut, and you can just drop those. And that way when you bring this index finger around to push these cards, that bottom packet up, you have that room down there already. You know what I mean? So, the normal cut obviously looks better not elevated, which is where you'll get to eventually. But, you know, I've only been doing this for a week, and for me, it just seems easier to hold this elevated, make the cut, let those drop, so then when I push them up, they're just, I have all that room under the deck already, you know. This, can I do that? I can't do it sideways because I need gravity, unfortunately. But versus this elevated grip where you can see how much room I have under there now. So when I drop that cut, look at that difference. So when I push this up, now look, I don't even need gravity to push it up. So, and the other thing I noticed about the elevated grip is if you leave it down here, when you make this thumb cut, if you have small hands, you're not going to be able to hold your thumb here the whole time. And when you slide that up, the packet, the bottom packet is dragging on that top packet, and you'll get that top card to pull out. And then it's hard to get it to drop because there's this top card or this bottom card that drags out, that now you have to make up that even extra space. And if you have small hands, it's already hard to clear that packet. Now you have to clear another quarter of a card extra. So that's what I'm talking about with the elevated grip, at least starting out, because it definitely doesn't look as good with elevated, and you have to re-square it every time because of course you're dropping the cards in your hand. But it helps to practice it with it elevated, so you can just drop it down, push it up, and lift it. But once you start with it, once you get that very good, you can start with it low down here, so when you make the cut, and you can keep your thumb here to push to prevent that card from coming up. See how that card always wants to come up. So if you kind of cut and then hold as long as you can, it prevents that card from coming up and getting you. And another thing, once you get this first one down pretty good, where you could kind of just roll with it and you get the feeling of the deck pretty well, you could try to do the double cut. That's the next trick I learned this week. Well, not trick, but flourish or cut or whatever you want to call it. But I tried to get a couple different motions in, so I didn't just get one thing over and over and over again. I tried to get 3 so that, you know, my muscle memory, I could keep moving and do different things. But here's the other motion, was the double cut, which is just a different variation. So you start the same way, you push that packet up, but here you kind of lift your thumb and you use that index finger to keep pushing that right into there. So you get that thumb wrapped around there as far as you possibly can. Because the next step is you're going to use that index finger to push that thumb back up. Let me get these squared up again, hold on. Cheater, that's okay. But you'll be right here, and once you're here, you could use your thumb to cut the deck again. And then you drop and you're into that triangle. And then from here you could either drop that down and then just drop this on top, and you have your triple cut. Or you could push that up, get out of here, wrap, cut that down. You could use your index finger here to help you cut if it gets hard to cut. So basically what I just did there, without even like noticing it, it's just becoming second nature, which happens after you play with the deck. So keep playing with that deck. But basically, and like I said, I've only done this for a week. I have 0 card knowledge whatsoever. This is my first endeavor into cardistry, and I want to share it with y'all. But basically, you could drop here, push up. That was too thick. You need about 1/3 of the deck or less on your first cut here for that second, for this triple cut to work. But you drop that, push that up. You could use your index finger to push, so you wrap that as far around as possible. Holds that packet. You could use that to cut again. And that drops. If you have small hands, you might need to really pressure, use thumb pressure here to bend that packet. See how that packet's bending? If you have smaller hands, you're going to need to bend that packet to get it to fall. I normally don't. If I grab it wrong or I'm in the wrong hand position, I do, and I'll bend it and it'll still fall down. But that's a thing. But basically then you drop that on top, and then you could finish with another Charlier. And that's just a nice way to finish it rather than just letting that top packet drop. So you could cut it, wrap it, cut it, use your index finger here if you need help cutting it, and use that thumb bend if you need help cutting it. Drop that on top, finish with the Charlier. So that's where I'm at after a week with the Charlier cut. The third motion / cut that I've been practicing that I'm not very good at yet is the rotation cut, which basically you start a little bit elevated, you move your index here, drop half the packet, and then you kind of scoot the deck over here, grab it with your index and ring, rotate down, and pull it back down. And I've watched a couple tutorials on this, and the hint I have for this is basically most of the tutorials you watch. I saw one tutorial that didn't. It was with a girl. I wish I remember her name. It started with an E. Again, like I said, I just got into this, but I watched 52 Cards, Chris Ramsey, a couple other videos, all different tutorials. So I don't know which ones I was watching when I was watching this rotation cut. The Russian Genius, all sorts of ones. But basically, most of them said when you do this cut, you cut with your thumb, then move your index, then swivel this out, grab with your ring. I could tell right now I'm in this bottom packet here is in the wrong position, and I'm probably going to drop the cards. But basically, then you use your thumb here to lift this packet to drop that under, and then but your finger might get stuck in there, and that happens. You just kind of learn when to pull that out over time. But what I found, and what that girl whose name that starts with an E, I can't remember, what she said is basically you could start with your finger over here, which helps one less step, drop those cards. And one awesome thing that's helped me a lot is instead of flicking this out and trying to grab it with my ring and not doing anything with that bottom packet, what really has helped me is I'll drop that bottom packet, and then since this ring finger has to come up anyway, kind of like the Charlier cut, I'll use that ring finger to push up that bottom packet. So now it's not all on my thumb to do that later. So now that that packet's up, I can grab, balance, use my middle finger over here to kind of balance these cards under as I'm grabbing it with my index and ring. And then all I have to do is just give it a slight push with my thumb, barely anything. And my ring finger naturally comes out of the way that way too, I've noticed. I did just drop the cards because I'm doing it slow, and I'm a 1-week-old cardist. But let's try that again. So basically I'll push up with my ring finger, give it a rotate, drop it down, and your ring finger naturally comes out more. Or your index seems to be able to escape from the trick easier that way, and it's much less pressure on your thumb trying to lift that bottom packet up. See, now I'm looking at my cards through the camera trying to do it, and it's much harder. But anyways, that's it for this one. That's Chris Roma cardistry practice after 1 week, where I'm at with a Charlier cut, the double Charlier cut, and the rotation cut. Next up, I'm going to be working on the spring, maybe a couple fans, hopefully the under pressure, the pressure fan, the thumb fan. Yeah, those are all on the list. The civil cut would be very nice, but I'm only a week in, so I think I'm going to get a little bit better at controlling the cards and getting more muscle memory just holding the deck before I get into that. But till next time, hope you enjoyed the video. Later all.